Okay, I'd like to welcome everybody to our weekly Tuesday night Zoom meeting of Camberley Chess Club. This week we have a guest from Farnham Chess Club, and in November, on November the 1st, we ran our first online tournament, which was the Keith Richardson Memorial Tournament. Normally this would be over the board, but this year we decided to hold it online on the Lichess server. At the moment, you're seeing the top of the cross table, and maybe I can scroll it down. Yeah. So that's the top 10 that played. There were more than 10, but Clive is going to talk about his games from the tournament, I think. So at this point, I will hand over Clive.
Okay. Great. Well, thanks very much, John. Yeah, I thought probably the simplest is if I just run through all the games I played and just try and remember what thoughts were going through my head at the time, and just let you laugh at some of the fortune I had in some of the games. I happen to think that winning something like this requires a lot of good luck. When I won it the previous year, I was pretty hopelessly lost against Colin, and had some kind donations from other people. That seems to be the perfect combination. So it seems to be a case of getting yourself in a position where you're happy to take advantage of whatever people throw at you. So what I'll do is I'll share my screen. Is that working?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's sharing, is it? Right. Okay. So I'll just quickly. So the first game I played was actually against Martin. Yeah, I played 3 games against Camberley players. So the first round in these sort of events, it's usually a case of not doing anything too stupid, but inevitably you do fairly quickly. So Martin plays the modern, and I played my new favourite friend, my flexible system. I've been playing Bishop E3 and H3 against the modern for many years, and I had a few games against Keith himself in this line. But the latest sort of twist on it, normally against Keith here, I think I played A4 a couple of times to try and sort of hold back Black's queenside. But the latest twist is I've been playing F4 in this position. Very simple idea of playing a quick E5. Martin Castles. I think in theory you shouldn't play E5 here. I think you should prepare it, but I played it anyway. And now Black should just drop the knight back to D7, which is the safest way of playing the position, and then play for sort of quick C5 and try and undermine the centre.
Clive, interrupt a sec.
Yeah.
When you say prepare, I imagine you're thinking of knight 3.
Yeah, so I think knight F3 is probably the best way of playing it.
Because I think the point is after knight, when the knight goes back to D7, if the knight's on F3, then E6 has a bit more point.
Yeah, it's got a bit of bite to it.
Because then if F takes E6, knight G5, perhaps.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, you can play knight G5 and go for the E pawn.
Yeah.
Whereas if I still got my knight at home, I haven't got time for that. So, so I think knight F3 would be better. But on the day, I saw a pawn that could be pushed and pushed it. So, and now probably a key. Well, Martin took the pawn, which Stockfish gives sort of 2 question marks to, and which is probably reasonable, because when I take back, I've now got plenty of space, and it's hard for black to sort of get much play against my centre. And now still knight d7 would be sensible, and black's probably just got a sort of passive game where I've got space, so knight d7, and now again black's got to watch for this e6 coming quickly. So probably knight f6, and then maybe something like e6, and black's okay, but white's just got a much more comfortable game. Unfortunately, so Martin blundered by exchanging queens here, and then dropping the knight back, which means that after knight d5, I'm picking up a pawn. So really, that should be fairly straightforward after that. So I take the pawn, and now I spent a lot of time worrying about getting my knight trapped. I thought if black played e6 next, then my knight was going to be stuck. Wasn't too sure how he was going to round it up. It's not actually very easy for black to attack it. And the computer says I should, best thing I should do is just to develop with something like knight f3 and not worry about it. But being fairly human and prone to panicking, I brought the knight back. Sorry, I brought the knight back. And thought, well, I'm just a pawn up, let's try and consolidate. And largely that's pretty much what happened. So b5 I develop, it's my knight, I bring it back because I really want to bring this knight into e4 and have a look at these squares. And sort of knight b4 doesn't really work because I can defend this pawn and then kick the knight away. So it's white's whole plan here now is just to head to the ending and win the king and pawn ending, which is pretty much, I think, what happened. Interestingly, knight b6 is a blunder, and we sort of both missed this because I can actually play rook d6 now. If the knight moves, I'm going to pick up on b6. If the bishop defends the knight this way, then I can take the knight, rook takes, and then take the bishop. So that would pick up a piece, and if he puts the bishop this way, then of course now I can just take the knight because the bishop has blocked the rook's defense of the knight. So rook here would just win a piece, which would have been a lot easier. But, and if black, I think the computer reckons black's best idea is b4, hit the knight, and then I think I can just drop the knight back somewhere like d1, and still these tactics work. So still I'm picking up a piece. It's interesting how you miss these things over the board. I think given more time, it's probably something I would have considered, but with the shortage of time, I didn't even cross my mind. All I was thinking about was trying to get that knight into some nice squares. So really, I think the rest of the game, probably could say not a great deal happens. I'm just quietly defending any pawns that are attacked, putting pawns on sensible squares, swapping material off, and now developing my final pieces and doubling rooks. And now I'm just going to do this final maneuver, bringing this knight on f3 round to try and swap the knight off on d5. You know, the ending is going to be very pleasant for me. I just want to keep swapping more and more material off. And that's, I have to say, one of my main strategies in sort of rapid play is to go material ahead and then just try and trade everything off. Again, just trying to be careful. If black plays b4 here, then I probably can play c4 and b3, consolidating my pawn. And it's very difficult for black to really do very much here. So we just swap everything off. And this is just going to be a nice king and pawn ending.
Yeah.
So, and a few moves later, Martin sort of threw in the towel. But it's really, I think, all about the pawn blunder in the opening. Okay, so that was the first round. So I'm feeling reasonably confident. And then I play Mr. Harley.
Sorry, Steve, just going back to that one, I have to say it seems the most natural thing in the world, once you've won the pawn, just to move your knight back to d5. You know, I mean, almost why consider anything else, but the computer, whatever the computer says, you know, it's quite surprising that the computer would think otherwise.
Yes, yeah, no,
to me anyway.
Yeah, no, I think it's just a human thing that I don't want my piece to be stuck there, you know, because it's going to give me problems and something else to worry about. So I think and particularly in rapid play, you're looking for easy things that are easier to play. You're looking for an easy plan rather than, particularly if you're ahead on material, let's not make it more complicated. Generally, the player who's behind on material is the one who wants to complicate things. Okay, so this is second round game. It's Steve Harley, who was white. I had an open Sicilian, so 4 knights Sicilian, which I've played a lot as black, one of my favourite lines. And Steve played the bishop e3 line, which I used to think was fairly weak, largely because I always seem to get a very good position against it. But it's actually not as straightforward as it looks. Black pins the knight, so now I'm threatening to win this pawn. And often white will panic at this point, exchange knights, and enabling sort of trading knights, enabling me to bring the knight this way, and then black gets a quick d5, and black's got a very easy game. The tricky line is this bishop d3. Black plays d5, and now there is a line I've played a couple of times. I lost against Alex. Who are the two brothers, the young lads?
Oh, Golding.
The Golding, yes, yeah. Alex Golding played this against me as white. So he takes here, takes back, and a quick e5. And when the knight moves, black's going to get queen g4 in, hitting the bishop and the g pawn. So black can play d4, and it's quite a complicated line. But Alex seemed to know it quite well. I suspect he probably prepared it. I was playing him in a 4NCL game, I was kind of okay out the opening, but he had an initiative, and it never went away. So that is the tricky line.
The line I play, Clive, is where you play knight on d to b5 on move 6. I think that's the main line.
Oh yeah, so the main line. Yeah, so there's there are a number of main lines. I mean, this is the most popular one. Black can defend it this way.
I'll play bishop f4.
Bishop f4, e5.
Then go into the pelican.
And now we're in a pelican, and quite a lot of pelican players use this as a way to get into the pelican because it avoids things like the Rossolimo, and it avoids the early knight d5 line that appered in the World Championship matches.
Yes, right.
Nigel
Pover plays like that.
Sorry, Nigel?
Nigel Pover.
Yeah, he's played that. I've had
played that against me.
against him in this line. The other line black can play is bishop b4 here, which I have played quite a bit, and then after a3 takes, knight takes, black goes d5, and typically black has got the isolated pawn, white's got two bishops, but black's going to get d4 in, and it's black gets more space, and it's a strange line.
I played bishop d3 now.
Yeah, bishop d3. Black might play d4.
Knight e2.
Knight e2, and then there's a bishop
g4, I think. Yeah,
it's some interesting stuff here, and I've played this as black quite a bit, and you get interesting games, and because black's got the extra space, you can bring queen to d5, knights in to d5 or e5. You can actually get reasonable amount of play, and just as white is trying to round up this pawn, black is typically trying to attack this pawn, and it's quite playable, particularly if black knows what he's doing. The other line that's a little bit tricky for black in this is taking here first, and then e5, knight d5, and then knight e4, and this can be a bit awkward for black too. It's been quite exciting positions, so I'm quite happy with it. I've quite enjoyed playing this line. And there are some other main lines. Other tricky lines are bishop e2, and then when black plays bishop there, just castle and sacrifice this pawn. So black wants to take a pawn like this. He's suddenly feeling a bit drafty on the black squares, and this bishop is going to cause some trouble. Yeah, it's an interesting line. I think black's okay in it, but it's quite hard work, and white can get a lot of play. So yeah, there's a lot of interesting lines for white, but the line we played, so after white takes on d5 and I take back this way, I'm not sure. I think that's probably the best way to take it back. Again, I've got my isolated queen's pawn position. We just got a game, and I think black's equalised.
Yes, for all your explanation of those sharper lines, Clive, I didn't really want to get into anything sharp against you, because I don't know, I don't know this opening very well at all. I just want to get some pieces developed and just get into the game and see what happened. And
it's
turned out okay.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, you've got that. You've got your pieces out. The game started, and we've got our pieces out. It's equal. It's ideal, really. I think often with openings, it makes a lot of sense to keep things, to accept a balanced, fairly equal position, not try for too much more, even with white. There's a book, Christoph Sielicki written something, Keep It Simple, and I like, he's got a repertoire for white with e4 and with d4 on those principles, and I think it makes a lot of sense, keeping it simple. White castles, black castles, and then this knight c2. I quite like this idea, just sort of supporting this square here, preparing c3 and bringing the knight over to the king's side, where it's probably going to be more useful. It's also defending the knight there, and white might be thinking about bishop g5 at some point as well, which I was a little bit concerned about.
Well, yeah, I was thinking about c3 and queen c2 and see what, swing that knight from the e file over onto the king's side and see how it goes.
Yeah, no, I think that makes sense too. I mean, white's pretty solid. So I think I probably had a little bit of a think here and thought, what am I going to do? And I came up with this knight g4 idea. The idea being, I'll hit this bishop, and then I can probably if I force them to drop the knight back, I bring it to e5, and then I can hit this bishop. So just trying to cause a little bit of trouble, really. I was also, as I say, a little bit worried about the bishop g5 pinning the knight. So yeah, Stacey, drop the bishop back. I think the engine prefers putting the bishop on this square.
That's right, yeah.
Yes, I was just wondering why on earth didn't I play bishop f4?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, I mean, it's possible I can play something like this, although I'm not threatening to take the knight at the moment.
No.
But it's just asking a question of your bishop. You've probably got to maybe drop it back, or you can, or maybe just c3. Yeah, I think that's. Yeah, bishop f4 looks like a better idea. I mean, maybe I still bring the knight here and just attack this bishop. Don't know. But anyway, bishop d2 was played. It's not going to be bad, but so I thought we'd keep the bishops on. So I brought the bishop back to d6. I'm now threatening something. Always good to threaten something. And now the bishop is possibly a little bit in your way on d2. And then, yeah, Steve played h3, which is very, very sensible. So now if I put the knight in on h2, it again is going to get a little bit stuck there. Knight h2, I think white just moves the rook out the way, and then bishop f4 is going to cause some problems, and I am going to have some difficulty with this piece here. Queen f6, or maybe even f4 or something. I've got to watch this knight first, attacking the knight, but the knight's going to get stuck there, so I've got to move it till I come back to e5, which is a square I'm keen to go to anyway. And now Steve puts the bishop here, which is not achieving a great deal. I don't think white needs to be too worried about the knight being exchanged for the bishop, given that the knight's quite a nice blockading piece on d4. I think a blockading knight on d4 is going to be, white's knight on d4 is going to be well worth black's white squared bishop. So I would be inclined to ignore it, possibly even just get the bishop out to the square it belongs on. And if I take here, then you can just take back. And although black's got two bishops, they're not going to be very easy to use. And this is a lovely square for the knight. It's probably still equal. But, so white plays bishop b5. Now, yeah, realistically, I probably should just play bishop d7, just finish developing and carry on with the game. But I got rather excited and just brought the queen out. And now I'm sort of slightly getting into sort of hack mode here. Thinking of possibly sacking the bishop on h3 with a knight g4 to follow up. It's looking very threatening for black, but it's probably not very good because white has very simple f4, which Steve found, and that's really very effective. So it cuts out any of my sort of attacking chances with this bishop, and in the short term, it hits this knight. Now, when I move the knight away, so if I move the knight back to here, say, then this c6 might be en prise. So I thought I'd better do something about that first. So I exchange this pair of knights first. If white takes here, then I can take this knight with check. Queen takes, defending this pawn, and then I've got this check, and I'm picking up the e-pawn. So I'd then be a pawn up. I don't know if it's enough, but so after I take here, white needs to take back. And again, I still got a bit overambitious here and played knight g6, thinking that's a third piece attacking this pawn. Interestingly, the computer's quite keen on just dropping the knight back to c6, which looks like it's en prise. But if white tries to take that pawn, then black does have this sacrifice, or this sort of counterattack. And if white takes it, then this check is going to be rather nasty, particularly with bishop c5 check. So I'm going to be taking king here, takes, king here, and then bishop there, which should be very unpleasant. If white takes here, then I've still got this check, and then I'm going to uncover a check. And king move this bishop, and I can uncover a check. So,
yep.
White's only move in this position is, I think, bishop e3. And I'm not quite sure.
Queen g3 there.
Yeah, queen g3 looks.
So you've got queen.
Got queen f3.
Queen, yeah.
Yeah. So I think probably what I would do is I might just attack this bishop. I mean, it's certainly getting exciting, and there's a lot going on, which was.
What about bishop e1 rather than e3?
Ah, okay. Oh, bishop e1.
Yeah,
right.
That doesn't cover the diagonal, does it?
It doesn't. But if king h1, then obviously if the bishop on h3 moves, we've got the queen.
Ah, right. Okay. Ah, okay. So you're then playing.
Yeah, and yeah.
So what I'd probably do is drop the queen back.
Yeah.
Now, so I'm renewing the threat, and I'm attacking this bishop.
Yes.
Yeah.
But sorry, you wouldn't just explain that. I think was it Colin mentioned bishop f2. Instead of king. Yeah, that's it.
Bishop e1. Bishop. Yeah. Bishop f2.
Yeah. I was at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to play queen g3 here, of course, but doesn't quite work, I don't think.
Queen f3.
It's queen f3. Yeah. Can I?
Oh, actually, you can play bishop d5 against that.
Yeah. Bishop d5.
Or even queen d5. That may be better, actually, queen t5.
That would be.
Yeah. It's intriguing, isn't it? Yeah, maybe this is yeah, no, maybe I just take it. It takes, and then perhaps drop this.
Or bishop g4.
Yeah, bishop g4. I was just thinking the queen might take, but I probably don't mind that because now I can get the rook here, and I'm
Well, queen g5.
yeah. Yeah, I think white's all right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, this is okay.
Maybe more than all right.
Yeah.
He's got this nice preponderance of queenside pawns.
Okay, so if I just see, you've got Queen D5, haven't you, as well?
Yeah.
Of course, I'd seen all this when I played Bishop B5.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe Bishop here. Yeah, I think I'd take it and then just drop the bishop back.
Maybe play. Can you play F5 there?
Oh.
Can't play bishop plays rook.
Yeah, I'll just take the rook.
Yeah, I might play here.
Take the bishop.
Pawn takes pawn, queen takes pawn.
Queen takes the other pawn. Let's be
take
greedy. Mind you, you might have a rook to h6 there.
and then rook h6 at the end. Yeah, that's what I'm looking at. I think
You didn't miss that, did you, Steve?
black is scrapping here a bit for scrapping for a draw here, but I think this is the thing. White is fine here. You know, I think.
And you, Clive, would be looking for something cheap.
Yeah. I suspect knight c6 is might be the computer's favourite move, but it was leading to equality. Whereas knight g6, which I played, is not as good, and now white is better, particularly after queen f3, when suddenly I'm not even attacking this pawn, and my developer's not as good. It's a little bit difficult for white to sort of chase the queen away, but I think white can just develop, and he's got quite a good game here. So I thought I was in some trouble. So I dropped the queen back, c3, very sensible. And now I want to reroute my knight round to f5. So I hit the queen. Again, the computer reckons that you could take here.
Yeah.
Can actually just take this pawn.
Be greedy. Computers are nearly always greedy.
Yeah.
They normally turn out to be right, I know.
Yeah. So, which I wouldn't have been unhappy with, because, you know, I can spend a bit of time chasing pieces around. But anyway, queen g3 enables me to come here with a tempo. And when the knights are exchanged, I take back with a bishop. Quite like this now for black, because I can see this bishop coming to the e4 square. And it always feels like there's some attacking chances coming up.
Bishop d3.
Yeah, let's have a check. And now let's put a bit of pressure on the diagonal. So now this bishop's being hit, and there's the problem with the pawn on b2. So apparently white can take with the rook, but it just feels very human to take back with the queen, get the queen towards the center. And here I was just very greedy and grabbed the pawn. And it's so a bit like the previous game, grab a pawn and now try and head for an ending. But unfortunately, there's a bit more to go on there. So I get my bishop to this square I wanted. Queen gets chased. And now f5, which is quite a good idea. It looks threatening. In fact, I probably shouldn't worry about it. I should probably just let white put it onto f6 and take it.
No, go f6 so you can play queen takes e4.
Oh yeah, I don't go f6. No, yeah,
Can be met by queen takes b6, can it? No.
Oh, I see. Oh, okay.
No, no, probably can't.
Take here.
No, because you've got the check.
Got the check, yeah.
No, we got the check. Yeah.
Yeah.
That doesn't quite. But I think I should not worry about it and just let black get on with let white get on with playing f6. Sorry, not take it. But instead of which, I spent a fair chunk of my remaining time messing about and playing an absolute blunder, which is rook there.
D5.
And now d5 goes. Not only does d5 go, but this bishop's now lost. Yeah,
couldn't quite believe what was happening at this point.
No. And that really probably should be that.
It's comforting to know that people make mistakes like this at all levels, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. The interesting thing is that I'd spent some sort of 3 minutes on coming up with this rook e8 move, and convinced myself it was fine. But disaster. I'm not sure quite what does the computer think I should be doing. Okay, so yeah, same rook a c8. So start putting some pressure on this pawn. And also it enables me to then play queen c5 and try and trade off queens. Yeah, I think that makes some sense. Anyway, so a fantastic blunder. Steve helps himself to the free piece. So rook e5, take it, and now we'll have a counter pin. So I've just dropped a piece, but I am at least, the piece is pinned to the queen. When the queen moves out the way, the piece is going to be pinned to the rook behind it. So there's a little bit of unpicking for white to do here. Probably.
I think I was getting pretty short of time at this.
Yeah.
At this stage as well. I was thinking, well, I'm a piece up, but am I going to win? Am I going to win quickly?
Yeah, I mean, the answer is it's tricky to win it quickly. But I would think queen f3, rook e2, and then drop the bishop back.
Yeah.
That sort of a maneuver, something like that, sort of springs to mind. So rook f4 defends the bishop, but after queen e7, now this pin is looking rather uncomfortable.
f6.
Yeah, f6 is the best idea. Try and get something going down here. Maybe a check.
Yeah.
Yeah, rook here. So looks a little bit awkward. I mean, it's interesting.
Queen e6. Well, yeah.
Queen here or something, and this I've still got this pin. It's a curious position. Curious position, but I think f6 is your best bet here. This is the position to play it. But as you say, time was sort of running out, and
yeah, I'm sure I looked, briefly, because I'm sure I looked at f6 and it kind of it felt right, but for some reason I just didn't. I didn't play it.
Yeah, so queen d4.
Yeah, I just thought I was going to drop the piece back.
Yeah.
And I try to hold on to it.
Yeah. Again, putting the queen here might be better, because if you can then put the rook on e2, you might be able to maneuver. Actually, I'm not sure. It becomes increasingly difficult to break it. Maybe you look to move the rook on e1 away somewhere. At least get a sort of threaten a back rank check or something.
Oh yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, but if rook d1, then you can't take on e4.
No.
Because of the back rank.
So what have we got to? So yeah, instead of queen d4, maybe a rook d1 was a. Maybe that was a try. Because however I try and give my king a bit of luft, it's always going to give me some problems. Anyway, so yeah, queen d4. I just played b6, just a sort of waiting move. Then f6. Yeah, so with the queen here rather than on e3, yeah, f6 probably hasn't helped as much. Take it. And now finally the queen comes to d3. But because I've got this pawn here now.
f5.
f5. And as often happens when somebody blunders,
yeah,
when the initiative shifts, it shifts rapidly. So White followed it up by, oh yeah, it's just rook takes f5, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's
the end.
That's just a free rook.
Yeah.
Well, so thank you very much, and that's pretty much that.
Did it have queen g3 instead of rook takes f5?
Yeah, so computer I think is queen g3, king h8, and then move the rook there. So if I take with a pawn, then that's going to be rather nasty. Oh, rook f7 is going to be nasty. So if I take with the rook, then you can play this, and you're threatening rook f7. And what have we got? 4 pawns each, a lot of heavy stuff around. It's probably equal. I think both kings a little bit drafty. Plenty more mistakes down the line, I'm sure. But it's probably, yeah, the computer says equal, and I think that's reasonable.
Yeah.
Yep. So very lucky. Thank you very much, Steve. That was very kind of you.
It was a good game. Thank you for going through it. I didn't look through it afterwards, but I certainly knew I'd missed a win, and it was a good game. So yeah.
Yeah. No, I think you played the opening very well, got a good steady position, and my attempt at an attack was rather flawed. So yeah, that was it was a good game. Just a couple of blunders when time ran out, really. Okay, third round, I was playing. I was white against. Now was it Olga Latipova? Slow sloth. So a girl from Essex. Who there seem to be a generation of young players who have become. They've probably been playing a lot of chess online because I haven't been at school very much, and a lot of them have got very good, and they're very tactical and a bit scary. So my aim in this game really was to try and head for an end game, because I think your best chance against the juniors is in an end game. So she played the 2e6 Sicilian, so I went for c3. I thought I'm not going to have an open Sicilian. D5 takes, queen takes, and now D4 is obviously fairly standard, but I thought I would just vary it with knight A3, just to try and throw her off whatever book she was used to. A6. This is quite nice because that means I can get the knight to C4 with a tempo. Queen's probably got to go back to D8.
Might be the D7.
Yeah, she played knight D7.
Not possible.
She played knight D7, which I quite like because I thought her queen was a little bit stuck in the middle. Again, I could play D4 here, but I quite like the idea of playing G3, just to put a bit more pressure on the queen. If Queen E4 check, then I've now got Knight E3. So it just really part of this plan of just confuse things a bit, take things out of the book, and keep my position fairly simple, no great weaknesses, and see if we can head for an endgame at some point. Particularly in this line, if I can exchange the D pawn for the C pawn, then I'm left with 3 against 2 on the queen side, and that can be quite a nice sort of long-term plus. So she's young and likes to play attacking moves. So she hits the knight, comes back to E3, Queen D6, develop my bishop. She
She's on Queen D3 there.
What could
play Bishop G2
in this position?
Yeah. Oh no, because
Knight E5.
Knight E5. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Knight E5 would be all right, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Hitting the queen, picking up the rook.
Way picking up the rook, aren't you? Yeah.
Yeah, even if I didn't fancy that. Yeah, I'm just looking at that, whether there's anything. I don't think Black's got anything. Hasn't got enough pieces out, has he?
No.
No, there's nothing else there, is there? No. No, I think Black's got to get the bishop on that diagonal.
Yeah.
And that gives me time to castle. Yeah, I mean, Queen D3 could be possible here. So Black's developing, and I probably should play D4 here, but I thought I'd just try and attack the queen side a little bit. You know, if Black plays B4, then I can move my knight back to C4 again, and possibly then into E5.
What about rook E1, threatening knight F5?
Yeah, I think if I go rook E1,
Bishop E7 maybe.
Bishop E7 would guard that, which Black wants to do anyway.
Yeah.
Can Black not play C4 here?
In this position?
Or after A4?
Oh, I see, after A4.
No, it's before, after A4.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, so when I play A4, C4. I think it's going to get a bit awkward after this, because I've got Bishop A3 coming in. I think Black's going to end up with some sort of isolated pawn here if he's not careful. I mean, I'm keen to swap off on the queen side, swap off as many pawns as possible, really, and then whatever's left, I'll attack it. So I think Black needs to get developed. So I think Bishop E7 as played is very sensible. So I took a pair of pawns off, exchanged the rooks, and finally played D4. So now I'm going to try and attack these queenside pawns because they're a little bit advanced and a little bit exposed. Castles. So I'll take a pawn off. Knight takes. Yeah, the computer reckons queen takes is better. I think I'd probably agree because I think black wants to keep his queen on. My queen's not particularly useful, although it's probably going to be okay on e2 attacking the b pawn. But so knight takes, which looks sensible, and now I can get the queens off. And knight d4. So now I'm getting on with attacking this pawn. Basically, it's a very simple strategy. That this pawn is weaker than mine. Let's attack it. Bishops come off. Rook b8. Rook d1. So now I'm threatening to uncover an attack on the bishop. So she drops the bishop back. c7. Fair enough. And now I bring this other knight round to stop b4. And I'd love to put the knight on that square. That just feels like a lovely square for a knight. Blockading this pawn. And really, it's just about patient manoeuvring now. Rook d8. So she's now threatening e5 because my knight is pinned to my rook at the back. I wasn't sure how to deal with it. I decided the simplest way was just to push the rook up. Seems crazy, but it just seems to work. And it's quite nice having the rook on the second rank because I'm defending this pawn if ever a knight gets in on d3 or a4. Bear in mind, I'm still attacking this pawn here. So she brings the knight in to e4. Attack my rook, which seems sensible. Rook here. Now it looks as though I'm threatening b4, attacking this knight. But in fact, if I do that, then black can play knight takes c3 and attack my rook. And it's a bit messy, So I'm not sure I was really intending that.
Is knight d3 possible?
Knight d3, yes, it would be possible. I could well just take here, take there, and then
is that knight trapped or not?
Pick up the other pawn.
Yeah.
No, I think the knight's going to come out, but I've picked up my extra pawn now on the queen side.
Well, the knight can also come out on b3.
Yeah.
Unless you play
the bishop's got to move first.
Yeah, that's right.
But now I think I'm just a pawn up now, and yeah, I think I'm
should win on the queen side.
Yeah, I'm going to win on the queen side. I'm probably threatening this. Actually, this knight is looking a little bit uncomfortable now. So yeah, I think this is fine. This is fine.
Yeah, it's completely winning.
Yeah. So she makes a good practical decision of dropping the knight back. And coming into c4 might be quite a nice square too. And of course, it also defends the pawn on b5. So I get my knight to the square I've been looking to go to. Computer's not so keen on it. Computer thinks I should have just got the bishop out to f4, which is probably right. But sometimes when you've got a plan, it's just nice to follow it through. Rook a8. So she's looking for activity wherever she can find it. Bishop f4. So now I'm threatening to take this and to pick up this pawn. So she goes back to b8 to defend the pawn. And now I decided I can sort out my rook. So it's time to bring the rook from e2, bring that round to a1, bring it down the a file. So rook e1. It's just patient maneuvering, and it's my recipe for dealing with juniors. H6, threatening to dislodge my bishop.
Well, is knight a4 removed there, or is that not doing anything?
Knight a4.
No.
I think knight a6 causes trouble.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, because I've got these squares that are, I've forgotten the threat. I mean, she said after the game, you know, I just seemed to have so many threats. There was so much to cover, so much pressure that she found it difficult to find moves. And I think that's the case. It is hard for black to keep this up. Keith Arkell's written quite a good book on endings, Arkell's endings, and it's all about how he likes to just keep ratcheting up the pressure. You know, his positions might not be winning, but they are very hard for the opponent to keep defending. H6, H4. Again, the computer says I should get on with Rook A1, but I like this idea about, you know, keep making it hard for black to find a move. So Rook B7. Now bring the Rook to A1, and finally she cracks and plays F6. Which means I can take here, bishop takes, and rook there, and now I'm picking up that pawn. And because I'm going to be taking this with a knight and hitting the bishop, knight A4 doesn't quite work either. Bishop back. So I played knight A7, which is not the best of moves. I should bring it back to A3 and then to C4. But I like the idea of putting it to A7 to C6 and connecting the two knights up. So that was the thinking. Just want to try and get these knights connected, and then can keep making it difficult for the rook. Couldn't really see any great plans for black, really. So knight there, attacking my rook. I've got to come back, and now king F7, which is the losing blunder. Really, she should move the knight back. So she's thinking, if I take her knight, she'll take mine. But unfortunately, I can just move this knight, and I'm threatening knight D8 check. And that is curtains, because she takes the knight and B4, and I can take this knight, pinning the bishop. And that's just one piece.
Well, she might have been able to do that rather than king F7.
Yeah. Yeah, here.
Bishop takes knight.
Yeah, so bishop takes knight here. I'll take here. She takes here. I take here.
Yeah, you've got two passed pawns, haven't you?
Yeah, so I've got the better rook ending, but
yeah,
it's a game.
Still winning.
I'm still winning. Yeah, it's going to be difficult, but I should be able to march these pawns up with the rook.
Well, you can probably play H5. H5 is quite a good move there, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, anything to control the kingside pawn advance.
Yeah.
I mean, probably I might even play G4 actually.
Yeah, G4 is good as well.
To slow that down. But really, I'm just playing C4, B3, rook up, pawn, pawn, rook, pawn, pawn, rook.
Yeah.
Keep that going.
They're self-supporting, aren't they?
Yeah, it's a nice roll. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was.
That's a great game, Clive. It's a really classy game, if I may say so.
It's my it's my favourite game. It's just a real sort of grind, really.
Yeah.
Keep a simple idea, keep control, and make it hard for the opponent to find sensible moves.
We know how old your opponent was, Clive.
Yeah. How old was she?
Is she a junior?
Yeah, I think she's like 13 or something.
Clive, how did you know that during the game?
I didn't. I was impressed. She won an earlier game, and I thought, who is this? On Live Chess, I think it had her name, and so I just looked her up on the ECF. And
got you.
What's her grade? I mean, is she prodigy? I mean,
I can't remember what her grade is, but
okay.
I think
It's
it might be one.
1927 on your notation.
Yeah, 1927.
No, that's her date of birth.
Yeah, no, that 1927. that will be her Live Chess rating at Rapid or whatever we were playing. So so yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about that one. But again, a lot of these juniors at the moment, particularly the ones that have been playing for a year or so, they haven't had a chance for gradings to be adjusted, and they've played a lot of online chess, and they are getting very good. Yeah, there's a scarily good generation, I think, out there.
That's good, though, isn't it?
I think it's fantastic. Yeah, it's going to be quite exciting when they come back, and
it's good for chess in general.
Yeah.
Clive, can I just ask you about a slightly different question here? Psychology there. Go back to before she blundered. Relatively few pieces on the board. Everything looks equal.
Yeah.
On the one hand, I would have been tempted just to say this is boring, offer a draw. So either you're obviously confident in your own abilities, but I'd also have been tempted, obviously, if you had seen the grade, to say, right, well, I'm 30 points higher. I'm going to go for the win. I just wondered what your thought processes are here, and relating to your confidence versus just trying to go for a draw.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I'm nervous that she's probably going to be quite sharp tactically. So some of the sorts of mistakes that I made in the previous game are going to be pounced on quite quickly. So I'm quite keen to keep the game fairly simple with relatively few pieces. So there's less to keep an eye on, less to blunder. I guess I am, playing the opponent quite a lot here. I'm assuming that her endgame abilities aren't as good, that she might go into, the wrong sort of ending. That she might make some bad decisions. She might bring the king up too slowly, or particularly rook endings. I often find, juniors don't play rook endings quite as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, essentially, I'm just looking. In this position, or a few moves back, it's all about putting pressure on that pawn. Anything else I can put pressure on, I will. And I'm watching for her counterattacks and what else she can do. I'm expecting her to be looking for ways to try and attack, get her rook in, or start pushing the kingside pawns. I'm looking to be as patient as possible, and to keep making it difficult to find good moves, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, you've had a clear advantage for some time in this position. I mean, winning is different, but a clear advantage.
Yes, yeah.
You're entitled to play, aren't you, in that position? I mean,
I like this position for white a lot. I'm probably, I mean, here when I play knight a7, which is not such a good move. Again, I can see a clear plan, connect the knights up, and then move the rook around them, and wait for wait for her to make a mistake or to put a piece on the silly square, and the more I can swap material off, the better. If we can swap both knights off and bishop and knight, get down to rook ending, I'm very, very happy. And that's I guess the psychology. I mean, you know, possibly I wouldn't always, you know, it depends on the opponent. You know, not every opponent would I go for this sort of approach. Well, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to skip round 4 and go to round 5. Round 4, I played Peter Hassan, another Farnham player who I played pretty much every week on a Monday in our Farnham Blitz, and we had a sort of fairly short draw, which I'll skip over. It was more a draw of respect than anything else, though I think he was slightly better. The interesting game, might be theoretically interesting, played against Julian actually, which was in this, I guess it's a Philidor line, isn't it? Or the,
Yeah.
And I did have a game against John Upham in this line recently, where I played knight e2, knight ge2, and then g3, but I didn't get much from that.
Would it be fair to say the key word swindle would be?
Well, I overpressed, and for a brief while I was not the better player.
Yeah. Never mind.
So, sorry, can I understand what the idea is here? Because don't you just go d takes e, swap queens off?
Yeah, and black wins the ending.
But
Yeah.
the queenless middle game it was without prospects. And
yeah, this there's ways of playing it, but this bishop c4 looks attractive.
Yeah.
There's blacks, I think, got 3 good moves here. This is 1.
Many is 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Takes, and this ending is not particularly good for white.
Okay.
I mean, it's okay. It's okay. I wouldn't mind playing it as white, but the problem is that black's got 2 other moves. One is king e8, and then white's really got. It's very difficult to prove anything.
Yeah.
And also, a chap called David Adams played this against me in a foreign CL game, and this is quite tricky to meet as well.
Okay.
I don't think that's sound, but it is tricky. I agree.
No, it's not sound, but it's quite a long, complex line.
Yeah,
I needs to know.
I think the king e8 line is the one that's as my is the main exponent of. But bishop e6 is pretty reliable.
Yeah, and you know, with the queens off, and the fact that black can't castle is not really that important.
Okay.
And as Julian says, it's surprising how much easier this endgame is to play for black than white.
I mean, I've played the black side of this a number of times, and it's amazing. After about move 12, suddenly white runs out of ideas and just realizes that they're without prospects, and actually probably worse.
Yeah, I play.
Is an idea to put a pawn on c6 and keep the knight out?
Yeah, you normally play c6 and king c7 after the bishop e6 line.
Like an old Indian.
Yeah.
But the fact that white's put his knight here is actually slightly to his disadvantage, because black will play c6, and that's the better formation. Pawn on c6, not knight on c3. So yeah, so I not very promising. So I wouldn't.
Thank you. Yeah,
I wouldn't recommend taking it. I don't think anybody really does much these days. But
okay, apart from me the other day in a blitz game. All right.
No, it's quite common.
Yeah, I mean, try it. If you fancy endings, try it. But no, I don't. So generally people play knight f3, and this is the main line. Bishop comes to c4.
H3 is an interesting move there, Clive.
H3?
Yeah, this guy Gotham Chess, he plays H3 here.
What, and then g4?
Yeah, and rook g1.
Oh, rook g1.
And leave the king in the centre and just, if he's going to cast on the king side, you're just going to ram him with g5. It can actually be quite, if he's daft enough to cast on the king side, it can get quite dicey for him.
Yeah, is this where white can play g4?
Oh, yeah, white plays
Yeah,
g4
you can play
here.
that immediately.
It's
Started doing that.
This is just unclear.
Shirov has played that.
This was nice. Shirov
sacrificing the pawn.
He then admitted that it was rubbish.
So
he said
rook g1.
That's the move.
That's the sort of stuff. But Shirov said it wasn't any good, and he wouldn't repeat it.
No.
Yeah.
Gavin Jones has played it as well.
And Simon Williams.
I can't believe this though for White. Though, White doesn't need to do this. He's got a slight advantage anyway.
Yeah, I quite like this h3 idea. Just play it anyway. Yeah.
Problem is with h3, black can revert into the kind of lion philosophy where you play bishop e7, knight f8.
We might be able to play e takes d here,
and then eventually, you get a knight on f4. Black gets a knight on f4.
Oh right, yes, yeah. Because
an eight. It turns out that h3 is a weakness.
Yeah,
but you can just chop it off with your bishop.
Yeah, but that's a concession.
Well, yeah, but on the other hand, you've now got two central pawns.
It's the move. There are many moves,
Yeah, but this idea of bringing the knight round to g6 to f4, yeah. Interesting. But this is pretty much mainline stuff.
Yeah. Bishop e7.
Well, back with a pure Philidor now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but black's avoided the dangerous variation.
The danger. Oh, with the
if black plays 2d6, then white doesn't have to play knight c3. He can play c3 and queen b3. That's very dangerous for. But playing it this way, black's avoided the really dangerous lines.
Yeah.
So is this line? If you play it this way, you mean?
Now you play bishop. Well, no. You
play bishop c4, don't
you? Bishop c4, c3, and queen b3.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then c3 and queen b3. Yes. Yeah. Bishop c4 is the key move, isn't it? Get that in early. Yeah. So I think this is pretty much how everybody goes into it now. It's become very popular. I've had quite a few games down this line.
There's a golf player plays this besides Julian. Is his name Craig something? Craig Young?
Craig Young plays it, does he? Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, he played against me.
And Robert plays it as well.
What's his other name, Julian?
Robert Lydiard.
Rob Lydiard.
It might have been him that played it against me.
Well, there was a book, wasn't there, The Black Lion, with this recommending this move order.
Yeah, but the line is when black plays knight f8 and knight g6.
Are you sure? Because I thought that was the tango.
No, it's nothing.
The tango is knight f6, knight c6 without moving.
Got the book on it.
I know that, but I still think that maneuver comes in. But yes, you're correct.
So after a4, so knight f8 here, is it knight f8 here? No. Queen c7 first, isn't it?
If you're going to play knight f8, you got to play queen c7 first.
Yeah, to guard the pawn, and then you play knight f8, and then.
Well,
you can do, yeah.
I play h6 and g5 before. It's quite move. You've got to get the move order right. It's quite tricky.
Yeah.
This is the book, boys.
Yeah. Okay. I must admit, I'm sure I've seen you play this before, Julian, and so when you castled here, I was quite surprised. I thought.
Yeah, but this is the modern Philidor proper, if you like, rather than the line.
Yeah. Oh, it's proper stuff.
So there was no prospect of taking on f7 check.
But you can.
Well,
but it's just nothing.
It's just unclear. I mean, you
in this position,
both sides.
But if I was playing Clive and he did that, I'd immediately think, well, it's very good because he's done it. Otherwise, he wouldn't have done it.
Yeah, it's a move too late because you already moved the
Oh,
pawn.
that good though, isn't it?
You don't even get the pawn on C7.
Before C6.
Yeah,
you
the
can play
queen's coming out here, isn't it?
Yeah.
exactly.
And that makes a difference.
Well, yeah, because then you haven't got the
Yes, I'm happy
So-
so far.
You go to G6 or?
No, oh,
Um,
no, surely not.
Yeah.
it's playable.
Yeah.
well, when the pawn's on C7, then the king can't go to E8, of course.
But I'd probably go to G8 anyway. I don't think I'd play. I think I'd go G8.
G8. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, and now knight E6, and we do a little,
Then I'd go Queen E8.
and then come to G6 and give up a rook.
Yeah.
I'm sure this is very
Oh,
well,
you've already castled. Wait a minute.
very well documented. I'm sure.
You've already castled on it. Wait a minute.
No, hang on.
Queen-
You're confusing the line when white has a castle.
Queen 8.
Black goes Queen G6.
Queen 8.
And you're in that famous.
Oh, so it's back here, is it?
You're in that famous Heidenfeld game.
Oh yes, there is a. I'm an expert on Heidenfeld games, but not on the Philadelphia.
Yeah.
So White could do it here, could he?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. This is a. You can either play Knight G5 or take on F7.
Well, I wouldn't want to play Knight G5.
Right now,
You go Knight G push castle, then takes Knight E6, Queen E8, Knight C6.
We lost Clive. Is he forgotten?
No, I'm still here. I'm just.
It's like a pirate radio station just taken over.
Yeah, why not? Why not? I've got no idea about these lines. They don't look very appealing to as White, I must admit. But
I've won quite a few postal games after Bishop F7 as black.
really? Oh wow.
Yeah.
It's not a line to play in correspondence.
You don't want to play it correspondence or online. You want to play it over the board.
That's
Yeah.
a poor decision to play that in postal chess.
Yeah.
Thanks for telling
Okay.
us, John.
We'll skip all that and we'll move on to a proper game of chess.
But I digress.
So H3, which is always a useful
Yeah.
move here.
You went off theory according to this, Clive.
This is all theory, yeah.
Yeah, but for some reason this book gives Bishop A2.
Oh, in this position.
Yeah.
I mean, I've played Bishop A2 in combination with Queen E2.
Queen E2 has also been played.
Yeah.
Or A5.
H3's been played.
Yeah, I think
That's recommended.
I've
by
played Queen
Colin.
A2 before and then followed it up with something like Bishop A2 and Queen C4 at some
Really?
point.
And normally Rook E1 gets tossed in.
Yeah.
The Rook E1's the main line, really, rather than A4, according to this.
No.
I'm a bit surprised by that. I would expect.
Rook E1's the main line here.
Oh, there are other moves here.
Anyway, what happened?
So I went H3 first.
Let's see if I can find H3. Yeah,
I played
back in that book.
H6, and now I played Rook E1.
Now, according to this, instead of H6, he could have gone Knight takes E4.
Yes.
Yeah, I played that. Yeah.
There's a fork trick. Well,
you don't play it against Clive. But anyway.
he'd have missed it.
So, what happens?
Knight take D4, Bishop D3.
Now D5.
D5, pawn takes, D takes.
You got F4 here.
Something's gone wrong.
What's up with Knight F6 in that position?
I don't think anything's gone wrong.
No, I'm trying to remember that.
Right, so Bishop D3, takes Knight F6. What happens then?
Takes. Knight F6.
Yeah. It's the bishop. Bishop.
Yeah.
E4.
Yeah, no. Nasty.
It liquidates, but it's not.
What? That's a piece up.
No, knight f6 wins. Well, you could perhaps you've got to go.
You got queen d3.
Oh, I see. Says
After
he.
d5, you're supposed to
Belatedly.
play knight takes c5.
That looks great. Okay, all right.
So you just leave it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you play knight takes c5.
Oh, okay. Right, yeah. Okay.
And now after this I'm going to be.
It doesn't give that. It gives knight takes c5.
Yeah. Okay, take here.
Yep, and then it takes on
Now you
e4.
take on c4.
No, it takes on e4.
e4.
Oh, okay. Let's see.
Yeah. Prefers taking your knight to taking your bishop for some reason.
But maybe knight d6 is an idea. If you don't do that.
Yeah.
Not sure.
Yeah, because that pawn's going to be weak. Yeah, this looks quite equal, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That's life.
Yeah, it does give it a sort of double-edged.
That's not double-edged.
Well,
Much
well,
going
it
on.
gives these two funny little things where you see two arrows pointing in opposite directions. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah.
I thought that meant unclear. Or
No, infinity is unclear.
Yes.
Yeah, I know the one they normally give.
Infinity is definitely unclear in terms of physics.
I thought that was with counter chances or something.
Yes, counter.
Yeah, I think that's what it probably does mean, actually.
Yeah. Don't you know your rabbis?
So if I take here.
No, it gives bishop f4.
Yeah.
Bishop f4, bishop f5 rather than exchanging queens.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
You're really developing him if you exchange queens, aren't you?
Yeah, yeah.
This looks.
Now it gives queen e2.
This is just symmetrical.
This is,
Sorry?
This is
Yeah.
fine. Yeah.
I can't believe there's anything here, is there?
Bishop c5.
No, this is nothing, surely.
The game one's claiming it is anything. It's just a game, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well,
There's a game played
yeah,
in
but it's-
1992.
If you play c3 and a5, then we can.
This is not very exciting at all.
It's your fault, Clive.
Yeah, goodness me.
Hey,
So 94 was possible. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's probably why they played Bishop A2 earlier.
Right. Oh, I have to watch out for that. Okay, so I should have played Rook E1 first.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
maybe, yeah, that's right.
That is
Maybe that's one of the reasons why they
or
played
queen
E2.
e2, or queen d3.
Yeah, maybe Queen E2. Well, I'll go back to Queen E2. Okay. So
Anyway,
H3,
Might
H6,
be to help us.
Rook E1, Queen C7. So now I think we're back on sort of home territory, aren't we? We're back on. And now A5 is
Yeah,
I've seen suggested, but I can't remember who by.
me.
to Karloff, I think.
It was.
It just slows down black playing B6. Because in this position, I think black is probably just going to go B6, bishop B7. And
No, I wasn't going to.
no?
That's the normal plan in this position,
And I'll probably take on d4,
is to try and get B5.
depending what you do. But anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
Black should be trying to get B5 in.
Yeah.
What about rook E8 and over?
But Rook E8 and bishop F8 is an idea as well.
Well, it's about bishop F8. I wanted to threaten to take on D4 and then this is probably all in Nims of it in my system.
Yeah. Do I take, when you take on D4, some lines I take back with the queen, don't I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. The other thing I quite like doing here as white is bringing the knight from F3 to H4 into F5.
That's a normal idea in this line.
Well, that's
Yeah,
normally why you have to go Rook E8,
Yeah,
so that when it lands on F5, you just go bishop F8.
yeah. But still, the knight just sits there and it's a bit awkward. So one of the things I liked about A5 was it stops knight coming to B6.
Yeah.
hitting the bishop at a key point. But mainly it just mucks up the queenside pawns if they get opened out.
So what were you playing after b6 then?
After b6, just take it.
Just take it off.
Yep.
Okay.
Just take it, and then you can't take back with the a pawn. So
yeah.
Take with the knight.
Yeah, but that a pawn's horrible, isn't it?
I think I just drop back to here.
Wait a moment.
I'm almost tempted to come back this way, actually.
It's almost making this look playable for black.
But that a pawn, I'm just going to round up on that a pawn over there. Yeah, I'll just come back here and. No, I don't like this for black very much. Okay. So yeah, maybe taking on d4 might be an idea, Julian. In this position.
Yeah, I have to check the theory. I remember. I've got
I think also, you know, some people play rook b8 in this kind of position.
That's what I played.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So Julian played rook b8.
In order to play b6 and then retake with the
No, in order to play b5.
Well, yeah, all right, b5.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah.
If
Computer reckons I should have played knight h4 now, I think. So that would have been my best idea.
Now rook e8.
This is difficult to stop now.
Oh, hang on, you've got knight g6 as well.
So, oh, yes.
So
yeah.
Rook e8 then. Were you going to go knight g6 then? Bishop f8.
Now I want to try, maybe I'll try my queen.
F3?
Yeah, queen f3.
You sort of think you have to justify it.
Well, h6
yeah.
When you got twice.
Well, if you go
queen
f3,
f3,
he will probably take on d4.
Just take on d4.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's no good.
I knew that really.
Yeah, I'd probably just get on with this then. Although you might. Yeah, no, that's okay. This is okay.
So b5 now.
So now you go b5. And...
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe now queen f3. Ah, no, I think this is probably where I play d5 here.
Yeah, you sometimes do play d5.
Yeah.
Okay, knight c5.
You can't go c5.
I don't want to go c5. B5 might be.
B5 square becomes very weak.
c5 loses.
Knight c5 possible.
Why does b5 lose? Oh yeah, okay. Forget b4. Forget that. Okay, forget.
Yeah,
B5.
no, I don't think.
No. b5.
Yeah, I think that's a. It's going to be another.
Bishop b7 might be okay.
Yeah. Bishop b7 here. Take this.
Bishop takes.
F3.
Well,
I don't want to do that unless you have to, surely. Can you play knight b5?
Yeah, I feel like, yeah. There's a pawn there, isn't there?
Yeah. big tactics going on.
Well, you got.
You can take on e4. That's a bit dodgy.
The queen.
If you take the knight first, then take it. No, you can't. Okay. What are you going to play here? Take the knight, or?
Well, yeah, you take on e4 because you're attacking the bishop. Well, why didn't you take on e4?
No, no.
Bishop takes c4.
The queen's hanging.
He's on praise.
Oh, of course it is. Yeah. Been a good move otherwise.
If only.
A bit iffy for black, but maybe it's okay.
Yeah.
Black's got to try and play d4 as quick as possible.
You could take on it. Sorry.
And target that c pawn.
Can white take on h6 there?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Yeah, take with the bishop.
Oh, with the
horse.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Queen g4.
Yeah,
Pick
queen
up one of the
g4.
knights.
G4 and pick up.
Queen g4 wins the knight.
Well, one of the knights. Yeah.
Yeah, you can choose a knight.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can actually.
Crab went wild.
Well, you've got knight g5.
Can I ask a question? Can I ask a quick question?
This is horrible for black, isn't it?
Instead of playing g takes h6, does black have knight f2?
I think you're going to lose.
It's check.
Oh, it's check.
Check.
Check,
Yeah.
yeah.
Knight g5.
Sorry.
Okay. So knight taking on e4 is a little bit dangerous then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just rook a8.
Yeah, but I think white's consolidating now, isn't he? And
Queen d3.
something like queen d3 feels right.
Maybe. May that working, I think. I'd like to get my rook out of that pin.
Yeah.
Maybe rook d8.
No, chop the rooks off.
Chop the rooks off first, and then play rook d8.
No, play rook c8.
You want to play rook c8?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you got knight c5 coming, haven't you?
Yeah.
Okay, so I've probably got to give this up.
Well, you still got knight c5 coming, yeah.
Well,
Yeah, but I'm not so worried now because that's just one knight.
You can play the good knight, bad bishop position if you're lucky.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking. Could be a nice ending.
Yeah.
well, no, because there's a mobile d pawn at some point. Eventually, the bishop gets out.
Yeah, it's slightly better for white, but it's playable, isn't it?
Fully the
Okay.
D6 pawn. Come on, gentlemen, we're falling asleep.
Yeah. Let's get back to the game
I think this is better for white. but
because
yeah.
there's not too much more of the game actually.
Thank God I was getting bored.
Rook b6.
Having analysis.
So I played bishop e3, vaguely threatening to take on e5 and pick up the a pawn. So black plays b5, takes, and now I play the d5 idea.
Hmm.
I took it.
Either works. It either works or it doesn't. Let's see.
Takes,
Yeah, probably shouldn't have done that.
bishop takes.
No.
Yeah, it just seems to give me lots of lovely squares, really.
Yay.
So claiming the c5 square. But I've got b4, knight a6. And now this is where I should have just played queen d2. With the idea being that if you take this, then I've got knight b5 hitting the queen and picking up this knight.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Unusual idea, isn't it?
not not
Yeah.
obvious.
Yeah. Instead of which I played it the wrong way round because I played knight b5 first. And now after queen d7, my knight and my pawn are both attacked.
Curses.
Oh, you cash it.
So I play c4.
Pick up the B pawn. Let's see what
You
else.
can take the b pawn. Yeah. What Julian did was to take this bishop off first.
Ooh.
Well, you do have rook a7 after knight takes pawn.
Yeah, that's the idea of it. So
I guess taking the bishop alleviates that a bit. I don't know.
Yeah.
yeah, I think that was the thinking, enabling black to play bishop b7. So if we take it, rook a7, drop the queen back, and now something like queen b1 hits the knight.
Possible to go. I've gone bishop b7 there.
Knight takes, c takes, and I think
Well,
white's
black's
got
alive, isn't it?
black's alive. He's got an extra pawn, but it's probably not going to be long for the world. I think there's a sort of a draw line here that computer quite liked.
Draw.
Yeah, rook c1, rook b7, rook there, rook back.
Oh yeah.
And it thinks that's the best we can do. So but Julian took on d5, thinking that now after rook a7 he can put something on b7. Unfortunately, so bishop b7 is the best idea, and then I can go queen b3, and I've still got quite a lot of pressure with the pawn. But after rook b7, I just drop the rook back to hit the knight, and now the rook on b7 has blocked the bishop, so the knight can't come back.
In other words, it's lost.
And that's, yeah.
No.
And that was that.
Yeah, unusual ending somehow.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So it was strange really, because I just
You play e4. Is that a move?
Securing d3.
So if I take here, take, queen takes.
Mind you, you've got the idea of your knight coming into c6, haven't you?
Yeah, but
next.
I think bishop f4 hitting the d pawn is quite tasty too. So queen f5, bishop f4, queen back to defend this pawn. And now rook b3 was an idea to. I think white's a bit better here, but
It was anyway.
Yeah. I mean, actually, probably. Oh no, I can't. I was thinking I could take on e7 and bishop d6, but
no,
rook e1 check at the moment.
You play king h2 now, though, Clive, and then
yeah.
King h2.
Oh, might.
Yeah.
Well, now
now he's threatening that.
Now I'm threatening that. So he's probably got to go rook d8 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think the better idea is rook b3, bring the rook back, and then I can swing that across to e2, e3.
Oh,
So I'm just going to pile up on the e file.
Well, also queen e2 followed by rook g3.
Mm.
Quite interesting.
He's going to play rook d8 and bishop f8, isn't he?
Yeah. Oh, I see. Rook d8.
But then, then you put a rook down. Yeah, it's not working, is it?
No, that's looking pretty grim.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, it might be a case of trying to do something like this and bishop g5. Yeah, I think White's got quite a nice game for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has.
But anyway, and Julian just took on d5, queen takes, and rook back and rook a7, and oh yes, that's right. Bishop e7 hitting the queen, and I've got knight e5.
Ooh.
Nice.
Yeah.
Ouch.
I thought, yeah. Takes, and that was that. Yeah, because I think if the queen moves back to here, I've got knight c6, and
knight g6.
If the queen goes here,
Bishop.
and I've got this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not very nice. Yeah, so a bit of a theoretical duel, but maybe h3 is wrong. Perhaps I shouldn't be playing h3 at all, but I'm pretty sure it's standard theory these days, h3 and rook e1.
Yeah, it is a line.
Yeah.
It is in my book.
Is it in yours? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I used to play queen e2 and bishop a2, but I lost a horrible game in that line, and so I decided I'd try this h3 rook e1 and then play for a5 to stop the b pawn moving. Anyway, I think it's an interesting opening for black. It is, it's quite balanced. I think black's got lots of chances. Okay, finally, I was just going to have a quick look at the crunch game, the decider. So Natasha, Regan, and I each had
Regan.
Each had 4.5 out of 5, I think. Sorry. Hold on. Let me close this. Actually, I could leave the engine running, couldn't I? Let's do that.
Well, the computer's given e5 as a mistake.
It's always a mistake. Yeah.
It's better.
So this game,
e5 all these years.
Yeah. You'll see this. The computer gets quite excited by this game later. So this was the match to decide the event. I didn't know how the tie breaks would work, so I was hoping to try and win it. So this is one of my sort of pet lines, is playing the trying to play the 4 knights, but Natasha played d6. So we look like we're now heading for another Philidor.
You can go into Lopez here, Clive.
Sorry?
You can go into a Lopez there.
No, I can't. She hasn't played knight c6.
No, but if you take it on e4 and then she plays that, you can go into a Lopez.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I could. Yeah, I mean, I think I should take back with the knight, but I was getting confused, thinking this was one of the positions where you can take back with the queen.
Yes.
You can take with the queen.
This is what I play.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay.
This is
Yeah,
Morphe's.
against the Philidor, I play this.
This is Morphe's move.
Oh, okay. I really don't know this. So knight c6,
Bishop
bishop
b5.
b5 is,
Bishop
this is standard?
Yeah.
Queen a4 is possible as well.
Right.
Who said that?
Bishop
Okay.
d7.
And we
Can I
have
take it?
Yeah.
Takes the bishop.
Bishop g5.
Oh, okay. Right.
Yeah.
See, I didn't think bishop g5 really achieved very much here.
Well, after bishop e7, you go castles queenside.
Really? Well, that is ambitious.
It's all given in, is it Tony Costin's book on the Philidor?
What?
Oh, okay. So now castle queenside.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
In certain lines, you play e5.
Yeah.
Some lines, you play knight d5.
Can black go h6 and...
Well, it's normal to go castles kingside now.
Right.
You've
I was
already
looking
cast
at,
H6 can't be wrong.
I was trying to go queenside, yeah.
Well, if you go queenside, you've got queen takes a7 to deal with.
Yeah. Okay.
It's just different, and most people don't expect it.
Yeah. No, I like the idea of casting queenside. I played knight d5. Because I quite liked the sort of position we headed for. Bishop e7, castle kingside. So I'm waiting for her to take on d5, and then I've just got a bit more space. Now she takes it.
Yes. Oh.
Queen there. So got to move the bishop, and then I can block that bishop. So black's got two bishops, but I've got more space, and I'm going to have a very nice knight sitting on d4, and I'm first to the e file. So I don't think there's much for white here, but I've quite liked my position. And now I just got excited by the idea of playing g4 and f5. I thought if I play f4, I'm threatening to block the bishop in.
Yeah, you might sacrifice.
So I've got to watch out for the sacrifice on g4, but she takes the knight, queen takes, and now still I'm going to be. I think I'm threatening g4 and f5. So she plays f5.
f6.
I think f6 would have been better, but f5 is putting a pawn on the same colour. So we've got opposite colour bishops. So it's really about trying to get the attack going, and probably keeping other pieces on. So I don't want to swap everything off. And I played c4 here because it occurred to me that my bishop on c3 is going to be much better than her bishop. And she's got a little bit of a mess sorting her pieces out. So rook a8, bishop there, and now bishop g6.
Wrong move.
Which is not very helpful. Yeah. Turns out that her best move, the computer reckons, is to bring this bishop into e2.
Oh boy!
Oh my goodness!
Which looks horrible after queen d2, because she can't take on c4 because I've got b3, and the bishop's going to be lost. So the bishop has to go back to h5. And if that's the best, then I'm not sure black's got a great deal, but maybe it's the position is just equal. I don't know. So I played rook e6, which got me very excited. I thought this is brilliant. I've claimed the got a rook in on the e-file. I can double rooks, and she can't take the rook on e6 because my bishop and queen are threatening mate. I'm going to double rooks, and then that's it. I must be better. Must have lots of chances.
You not take on e6?
You can, but it's
you can do, but
Queen
you just said you couldn't.
Queen e7, yeah, you can do, but you can't obviously play queen takes e6.
No.
But now I'm not sure quite how Black's going to unpick himself. It's
or even herself,
yeah, or anybody's self. It's I mean, maybe Black's fine, but just thought this was a little bit more playable as White.
Yeah, sure it is.
You know, I can look to bring the rook round to g3 or push the queenside pawns. Don't quite know which. At this point, she blundered with c5.
Oh.
And I was so shocked because I didn't think she could do that. That
rook takes pawn.
I just completely missed that I can just take that.
Wow.
And then take the d pawn.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things. When I played rook e6, I knew the e6 pawn wasn't on pre, but when she played c5, I just missed that I could just take it.
Oh yes.
So I moved the queen back here, and which gives her time to play bishop f7. And that's it, really. The computer rates the position as equal now, with a value of 0. And it stays pretty much that for the next 30 moves. We exchanged stuff off, we shuffled around, and we even both tried to win this opposite colour bishop's ending. One of the interesting things, I'll just share with you Lichess's evaluation of the game. You know, when you play on Lichess, it gives you your average centi-pawn loss. Well, because we played another 30 moves where the position was dead drawn, our centi-pawn loss on every move was 0. So we were playing perfectly according to the computer.
Well done.
Which meant that when you look at our scores at the end, they're fabulous. I've never had such a good average centi-pawn loss for the game. But
that's interesting.
Yeah. So, I mean, I find it quite interesting because sometimes people say to me, "Oh, I think my opponent must have been cheating. His average centi-pawn loss was only blah blah blah." But I think this is an example where you can't use that as a metric because on its own,
quite right.
Because it's pretty clear in the game we've just seen that neither of us were playing that well, because we both blundered horribly. And there you have it. You know, Lichess says yes, 1 blunder each, and the rest was just a very dull game. So so that that was that. So we drew, and apparently I won on tiebreak. So I retained my title.
Very good.
Yeah, nice games. Nice games.
Yeah, good. Yeah, good.
The game against slow, whatever it was a fantastic game.
Yeah, that was a great game.
Any rate of play. I mean, let alone.
Yeah, I think that was pretty good. I mean, that was. I mean, the rest, there were other games. There were sort of blunders and mistakes, and but it's interesting the mix between, you know, the game against Julian, which is sort of, you know, probably a little bit theoretical for quite a few moves, and then there are games where it's just, you know, blunder follows blunder. And, both players trying too hard to achieve things. So anyway, I think that's probably
A question, Clive. Having won the tournament twice, what would your recommendation be for the format and time control and any other variants you may wish for our next tournament?
For the next tournament, my personal recommendation
we may have, but bearing in mind, you can change things and you get different results, don't you, in terms of speed and time control and number of rounds, etc.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoyed the face-to-face edition. I would prefer that, I think. And I think that's quite a good rate to play. Did we play 20 plus 10 there, or was that 10 plus 10? I mean, that's quite nice because you play 6 rounds. It's a fairly leisurely day. It's not a long day. I think that works. I think it works very well. 6 rounds, rapid play. I think any more probably becomes a bit tiring. I think that works quite well. I don't know what the best thing is online. Certainly, I think playing shorter time controls online is better. So I think it worked. I think it worked quite well.
I'm just wondering whether the whole day is necessarily. I enjoyed it, and I think a lot of people did. But maybe if we had a slightly compressed overall time, we might attract players to play, perhaps.
Yes, yeah. I think if you're looking to try and get more people to play online, probably less is more. I think spending a whole day, meeting up, chatting with people at the hall in Camberley is good fun. But if you can't do that, then giving up a whole day is probably a bit much. I mean, it didn't seem that long. I can't remember what the timing was. Was it? We finished about 4 o'clock or something, or
5, I think. In the end,
was it about 5? Yeah.
I mean, you're doing 6 rounds, and the time control. You think you can do it in an hour per game, but actually, I think the first or second round ran over. So you end up playing with the hour for lunch. You end up with a 7.5 to 8 hour game match. Actually, I think in the end, didn't we? I think we were 5:30 by the time we finished.
Yes, yeah.
I think we had several dropouts through the day as well, which I think the length of it contributed to that.
Yeah.
So my feeling was that the essentially what we did was try to recreate what we usually do face to face, but online, and I think it needs to be quicker online.
Yeah. Because if you have when you have a Swiss system on chess.com, I think it automatically does the pairings as soon as the previous round is finished. So you don't get a break. Whereas with this one, I think was John setting each round to start at a designated time.
Yeah, I was manually scheduling the start times.
But I think my first game, with you, Clive, even though I didn't play that well, I think I actually used a lot of the time, if I remember rightly. I think we were the last to finish. So I think what John did was the right thing. Wait till the last person's finished and then add 5 minutes.
Yeah, give everybody
give those 2 last players a 5-minute break. But the reality is lots of people had 10, 15, 20-minute breaks. Finished earlier, so it's a difficult one to work. I think the faster you go, on average, obviously, the less you need to have people sitting around waiting for the next round. But I quite liked, when I finished early, watching some of the other games.
Yeah.
That's the feature on Live Chess that's, like being in the hall at Camberley. You finish your game and you wander around and watch the other games. It was quite nice. And being on Zoom as well at the same time, not every participant did that, unfortunately. But I think we need to encourage that because, when you finished, if you're all muted, when you finished, not listening in, and people not commenting on other games, of course, which could be a big problem. But that's the same in real life. You don't wander around chatting about someone's game while you're watching them play.
Yeah,
you walk around quietly and watch and enjoy. So having everybody on Zoom, I think would be, the more people can get on Zoom, the better.
Yeah. I think the Zoom. Because in the British Online Championships, we played with Zoom on at the time, so there was an arbiter there, and that seemed to be very effective at sort of cutting out the risk of cheating or concerns about it.
You're never going to stop it, though, are you? I mean,
you're not going to. No.
You can't see that I haven't got a phone in my hand here.
No, exactly.
Down here, and you can't see. And people say, "Oh, you need a camera behind," but if I put it to one side, you can't see. I don't know how you stop cheating, but it certainly makes it. If you assume nobody's going to cheat, it makes for a much more interesting tournament if we can all see each other on Zoom and so on.
Well, that's what you miss, isn't it? The discussing the game afterwards, seeing someone else's game, having a chat to people about what's going on.
It's a social thing, isn't it? It's not the same.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, thank you very much, Clive, for running through them. A bit later than we hoped, but not a problem at all.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry about that. I got there in the end.
I've forgotten our game by now, but there we go.
Thank you very much. It was most instructive.
Yeah, no problem at all. Many thanks for organising it, and look forward to however we play it next year, end of this year.
And remember, you're always welcome on Tuesdays.
Yeah, okay.
Before we all go, you may recall, most of you who were on the Internet Chess Resources session we had a few weeks ago, where we all showed different websites or chess engines and all that stuff. Well, Steve and I have finally pulled all that stuff together. In fact, it might be worth sharing a screen and just quickly showing you what we've got. Can you do that, Steve, or shall I do that?
No, can you do it?
Yeah, okay. So I'll get my screen to come up, the right window.
While he's doing that, does anybody want to know the football scores or not?
Yes, please.
Liverpool won 2-0.
And
Barcelona lost 4-1 at home to Paris Saint-Germain.
Who did Liverpool play? Aldershot?
RB, whatever it is, Leipzig. RB something Leipzig.
Okay.
Okay. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Yep.
So we've added just here a new tab called Internet Chess Resources following our session. And what we've done is we've basically said, look, here's some resources that you might find useful. And we've said, it's a living document. If you've got any ideas to improve it, well, let us know. So in that session we had a couple of weeks ago, we went through a whole load of websites all down the side here with some comments that Steve's put on and all the links. So if you go on this, you can remind yourself of the stuff. And if you weren't on the call, then I'm sure hopefully that will be of interest to you if you haven't been on there. There's so many resources. I think nearly all of us realised that we certainly didn't know them all, and we certainly learned things from them. So have a look at the list. There's all these websites, and then further down, we went through chess readers and engines and all that. And then a whole load of YouTube channels that were recommended by different people and shown by different people. And then what I've done with the video is I've chopped it up into different sections. So if you come down here, you can see a video on chess.com, one on live chess, one on chess games, one on 365 chess, a section on other websites that people mentioned here, a section on our own website, and then the chess-based stuff that Colin Purdon went through, and engines, and then a kind of thing at the bottom that kind of shows you some of the YouTube stuff. So there's actually an hour and a half or two of video content here from the meeting that we had, which I think, coupled with this list, which is pretty comprehensive, nice looking list. I'm sure there's some things missing, but I think it's a pretty good list. So we've put that on the website, so it's available to all our members, and of course it's available to the world to look at as well. So hopefully it's a good advert for our club and the sort of thing we do on a Tuesday and the kind of content that we can put up.
Yeah.
So have a look at it if you haven't seen it, or have a look at it anyway, and any constructive feedback, let us know and we can keep it up to date.
Yeah, thanks for doing that.
Yeah, well done.
Yeah, nice
Very
job.
well done.
Nice job.
Good. I'm trying to remember what we've got next week, so I'm going to have a look at the events, which is where I go to remind myself. That's what we've just had this evening, Clive. And next Tuesday, we've got Andrew Martin on Gambit to Victory, whatever that means. and then we're open to suggestions for further Tuesdays, of course. So if anyone wants to volunteer or has some ideas, then let us know and we can schedule them in.
Okay, thanks everybody.
Okay.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, very much so.
So thanks again.
Thanks.
No problem. Thanks all.
Yeah, thanks, Clive.
Is everyone?
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Clive.
I'll
Bye.
see you all soon.
Bye.
I hope so.